Hello everyone, welcome back to Bhavya Talk. Today we have with us Ma'am Pooja Mishra, who is an IIM Calcutta alumna and a social entrepreneur. Pooja ma'am helps the poor rural women to become independent by earning through selling goods directly to the consumers, eliminating several stakeholders in between. Ma'am is also the founder of Gurukul Public School and has educated over thousands of rural unprivileged children for free. Today, our topic of discussion will be about the great gender digital divide prevailing in India. Poverty, gender discrimination, gender stereotypes, and illiteracy are some of the reasons why women are lagging behind, especially in the political arena. Today, only 40% of the women on an average have access to internet. So before diving into the questions, I would like to ask you, ma'am, what inspired you to start this noble cause and when did you start and what your journey has been till now?
Thank you, Bhavya. And I am very happy to be part of these talks today. Regarding what inspired me, first of all, I would like to tell you that I belong to the same village where I'm working right now. And since my early childhood, I have seen the disparity, even in my family as well as around me, between the factor of being a girl or a boy. So, in villages, especially, and I think even worldwide, there is a lot of discrimination against women, but in villages it is even more prominent. So what happened like was my father was very particular about the fact that even though he had three daughters, he wanted to educate them, and that's why he moved to Lucknow. And I was like, all my education was done there, but during my vacations and breaks from school, I used to visit my ancestral town, and there I saw this disparity of the kind of opportunities I was getting versus the kind of opportunities the other women or girls in the area were getting. So when I was at IIM, and I had to go for the placements, I had a day zero and all that. So at that time, I was somehow not willing to go back to the corporate world, and I wanted to do more with my life, and in a way give back to the society, give back to the roots that I come from. And that's why I came back to the village, started the school, and later we also started another venture, which is a social enterprise where we connect women to the markets. So that is the story.
Okay. So, ma'am, it's very inspiring to hear such a story. It's really inspiring for all the women out there to start such a noble cause, especially when you're already in a corporate world and leaving that and then starting with such a noble cause is a great achievement, ma'am. So, ma'am, I also would like to ask you what obstacles in this whole process did you face? There were any challenges that you faced in the journey in the beginning?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, even today, uh, we face a lot of issues, be it the gender issues, be it the caste issues. Everything becomes more prominent when you go to the rural area, because people are not as educated. Many a times, the children that come to our school are the first generation learners, right? They do not uh, understand the importance of education as much, and also because they have other needs of food, shelter, clothing, and they are priority as compared to education. But what people don't understand is that education is something which can probably bring them out of this clutches of this poor condition, poverty that they live in. Otherwise, there is nothing else that could probably help them. Even if we give them a monetary support uh, for the time being, that's not gonna bring them any changes in the long term.
Right.
So there were a lot of things like initially when girl students were coming in, we have a co-ed education system. So people had a problem that you should segregate boys and girls separately in a class and don't let them sit together. So we did had to deal with all those issues. There were caste issues like upper caste people, lower caste people, and since I was coming from Lucknow, and I was also I had also worked in US for quite some time, and then so I never actually saw all these things. But yeah, when we started the work here, then I really realized, before that, even when I came to the village, to my grandparents, I was in a more sheltered, cocooned kind of environment, and I was not aware of the realities of things around. But now I have seen it firsthand. Then there were trust issues also, right? In the sense that when you come back to the village, nobody believes that you would ever do that, right? If you are settled in states, say for example you're in the US, why would anybody come back to a village and start working? So there were trust issues, but as we worked and as the time went along, people have realized that we are here to stay, we are doing good work. So now things are getting sorted. But yes, now and then many a times we face these problems, but the administration, local administration, has been very helpful, and that's how we are operating.
Okay. So, ma'am, also I would like to ask you, like being a woman in such a leadership position, did you face any obstacle just because the fact you were a woman?
Yes, many a times what happens is like people don't expect a woman to be taking a lead, right? And even in the government offices and all, people don't take you as seriously. Many a times that happens, right? And if you are young, then so it even becomes even more difficult. So that has happened, but yeah, you have to live with it. You can't change the entire society at one go. But I believe that if more number of people or women come out and they start working with, because the problem is that usually people do not they have not seen women working in their work environment. So that's why they get a little apprehensive. They would not like to talk to a woman, and they would want to, like, if you go with your male colleague, they will prefer talking to your male colleague rather than to you. So that all things happen, but yes, you have to deal with it.
Yes, ma'am. And ma'am, like in these unprecedented times, like how are the children managing at the school to join the classes? And do you feel there is a greater access to of gadgets, internet among the boys as compared to the girls?
Yes. So to answer your first question, how we are managing. So what happens is, like, usually, like, we are following the online route, and we have people do not have as much access to Google Meet, or they are not very savvy of the internet. So we what we do is we distribute the learning material through our WhatsApp, because many people are using WhatsApp these days, but that penetration is also very low. And many a times the parents do not want to give their, like, there is just one phone at home, right? And if the father goes, so there is none at home, and even when he comes back, many a times he's not willing to give his phone to the kids, because he feels that they might damage the phone, or they might, so whatever be the reason. So as I said, like, people are not very conscious of the importance of education. So the children are facing a lot of problems, and they do not have access to, like, and here in rural area, I don't know why, but people change their phone numbers very often. Like, if a new scheme comes with a cheaper option, they will just change their phone numbers, right? So that also happens. So we and in this difficult time, we are not able to connect with all our kids. Right. And we have tried reaching to their homes as well, but then as the government says that we have to continue with the online mode till class 8th, and we are doing that. But we have also asked our parents to come to school and collect the hard copies of the learning material that they want, like that the teacher wants them to do, and then take that photocopy home, get the work done, and come to the school and submit it, so that at least some kind of learning is continued at home. Because these kids, they do not have any, but many of times they do not have anybody who can guide them at home. So teachers are like, parents are coming to us and they are telling ki, ma'am, please open the regular school. My children's learning is getting impacted. We don't know what to teach them. So, and now jo unko aata tha, whatever they knew, they are also forgetting that. Like our UKG kids, they are forgetting their ABCs. So once the school reopens, it will be very difficult, because by this time kids would have forgotten a lot of things that they were taught. And now, since they're not in the rhythm of learning, they'll find it even more difficult. So that is one. But yeah, we are doing the hard copy and the online learning things as much as we can. And second, what was the second question, Bhavya?
Yeah, the second question was, is there any difference in the access of to the gadgets between the girls and the boys?
Yes, absolutely. Like, if there is a preference, right, who gets access to phone at home, it will always be the brother than the sister. So that is, I have seen in most of the households. Like, if there is one phone or two phones is a luxury, but usually one phone. So if one person has to use it first, it is mostly the boys, because they also have this pretext of they will be going out of the home to do the some housework and all, right, to get the gas cylinder done or buy something. So since they are moving out of the house, they need the phone. So girls are supposed to stay back home. So if you are home, why do you need a phone? So those are the things that are there. And yes, of course, boys have more access to, like, even if in our school we have seen that number of boys who have access to phone is more than the number of girls.
Yeah, so that's true. I read about it, I've heard about it, but you being working on the ground there with the rural children, you know better, and you yourself have experienced this whole discrimination between the two genders. So, ma'am, my next question to you is that if for once, if we talk about the well-aware or the well-to-do families who who believe in treating girls just the way they treat their boys, but even then, don't you feel that there is a preconceived notion in the minds of people that the use of technology, the development of technological skills is generally meant for boys, and men somewhere has been and it has somewhere been the cause of cessation of development of these skills among girls?
Yes, and there are many reasons, I believe, for this, because for some reason girls are still considered to be paraya dhan and all that, right? They have to go to somebody else's house, so they need to be protected more. So when technology is talked about, it is also seen as something which might harm the girls or give them access to the world which the parents are not comfortable in. Right. So if a boy is using all those things, it's still okay, because he has to stay within our house, right? And if a girl is doing the same thing, like, she should not get too westernized or too much into other concepts, and she needs to she needs to be going to somebody else's house. So and then somehow the ownership also becomes, like, they feel less responsible for the girl, because ultimately she'll go to somebody else's house, and then it becomes their responsibility. So boys are like, they have to stay here, they will look after us, and all those traditional things are associated to the boys, so they get more liberty as well. And access to technology is a kind of liberty that they get here in boys get, and not the girls.
Yes, absolutely, ma'am. Even if a girl would want to pursue, she might have some spark of interest in this area, but there are several social factors also that stop the girl. For example, sometimes the teachers also in the school, they do not intentionally but indirectly, just mainly whenever they have some technical work to do with computers and all, they generally approach the male students. And I like, if for example in my school as well, I see whenever there is some technical kind of work, no girl is approached for that work, and generally all the editing work and all this technical work is being done by the male students only. So if these are some social factors that even the people who are encouraging these social factors don't realize that they're encouraging such social factors, and which might lead to the underdevelopment of these skills among girls. So I think these factors also need to be eradicated, apart from the factor that you also told, that the parents also think that after all the girl has to go away when she gets married. So the parents don't invest on the girl many times. So all these factors need to be eradicated.